So let's just do a quick Q&A from yesterday if anyone has any questions so we can kind of have them unanswered before we get into the next part here and get it going. So is there any like marketing specific questions before we get it going? All right, everyone good? So we'll go. Oh,
we got one back there.
Scott.
When the great speech that Jason White gave, one thing I didn't understand, I know he was trying to set up hiring, what we used to call bird dogs to go out and drive the neighborhoods, take the pictures of the distressed house, and drive for dollars, reverse drive for dollars. Do you guys have a commission structure or a compensation plan that you found works for those types of folks?
Those type of people, usually what I'll do is just pay.
Hiring to drive for dollars.
Yeah, there's 3 levels I have there. So the lowest level, I'll pay them like 15, 20 bucks an hour, is pay for the gas. But it's tracking like deal machine. And so I just add it to the user, have them on there, and have them do it. That's like the lowest level, the cheapest one. Above that, you can pay commission. Most of those people don't want commission though. They just want to get their money. So we pay 15, 20 bucks an hour and commission. It's either or. And then on the top tier, for a lot of the virtual wholesalers watching this, like Rebecca in Memphis, what you should probably do, which is what I've done a lot in like Tampa, is I'll have brand new wholesalers that just got started, and they keep messaging me. You go to the live stream, you can find these people in the comments. Hey, I'm brand new in Memphis. What I do is I have them come, I'll call them up and say, hey, you want to get some deals? Oh, I got no money, no skip tracing, I got a car loan. Because she's in Alaska, she's not in Memphis. What I'm going to have them do is I'm going to have 4 or 5, minions. That's the right way to look at it. And what they do is they drive for dollars. And if they can produce 30 leads a week, each of them, 4 with 120 leads a week, and they're paying for the gas, they're driving around, they're putting up a little bit of struggle, I will go skip trace it myself and then have my team call them, and then we'll split the deal 50-50. I know it's a little high, but if you have 6 or 7, 8 people in a new market do that for you, it's insane, right? So Evan and Nathan are there, if they're trying to do Pittsburgh and they don't want to drive an hour and a half, they can find other people their age, friends like Youngstown, Ohio, drive for dollars and you can just give them half the deal, right? It's not as much money as you think about it because they're doing leads that you have never gotten yourself. Rebecca can't go from Alaska to Memphis and drive for dollars. So 50% seems like a lot, but it's better than 0. And so that's what we do with bird dogs, partners, stuff like that. But yeah, think about it. You have 8 or 9 people doing it basically for free. It's insane.
So I saw in the marketing ones you crossed out door knocking,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just hosting for door knockers, and I was just going to have them walk neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So the reality is, so I start out door knocking. To me, it's one of the bravest things you can ever do because it's tough. I've been chased by dogs, I've been spit at, I've been swung at. And the last thing I want to do is get someone started in wholesaling. To be exposed, that's the fastest way to get out of this business. Nobody signed up for this to be spit, swung at. You're okay being cussed out and being told off, but when you start to risk your personal safety, I have ladies, there's a point where I have to be responsible, go, okay, I'm not gonna put people out. If you can make that decision and then you make the decision. I'm not gonna be the guy go out and, because some of you guys actually do what we say, and I'm excited about it, but I don't want to get in the wrong hands. I would never send my wife to go door to door. I just wouldn't do it. Okay, but here's the thing is you hear about these female realtors getting trapped in, and you're just in a different world. Right. And I started out I had no idea what I was doing, and I had some issues. And knowing everything going on today, if you want to make that decision, you make it on your own. Just because someone gives you advice doesn't mean it's always good for you. So you always have to have that filter. So we are reserved because I think more ladies need to do this business. To be honest, ladies are more effective at this. I'll just tell you hands down. They listen better, they have a softer approach, and they're better problem solvers. I'm married to one, I know, trust me. So you can do it, but you've got to take it with a grain of salt. If you're not comfortable, you drive by a neighborhood, understand. Also, we're going to talk about when we go on appointments, you guys got to be aware. You're in a different world. At my age stuff, even when I go on appointments with my acquisitions people, I look in and I teach them, when they go and shut that door behind you and you see aluminum foil on the windows, don't walk in. You got to use common sense. It's crazy. And that's why we suggest doing it. So the whole door knocking thing, I love it. The other two is ring doorbells. It's hard to get past these things, man. You can't get past like anything with a ring doorbell. Like people are on their phone like, who is this? What are you doing? You guys are probably getting ring notices right now. Like you freaked out when a guy's, and then when they start looking in, then they call the police. And by the way, if you ever done door knocking and you haven't all called the police on you, you haven't done it right. Because when you start sneaking around the house looking, that's when you get problems. So I've been detained multiple times. That's when you push. So the last thing I want to do is give you that experience, guys. I'm going to tell you what, I walked the walk. I did a lot of like stuff, and it was crazy. And then sometimes I had the kids in the car. I'm like, hey, Dad's going to swing by, take a look at the house. And that's when my daughter would tell on me. He loved it, but she's like, this is crazy what you do, because I brought her through dirty houses. Because my dad just buys dirty, nasty houses. It's not all I want to do. So when it comes to the door knocking, use your own discretion. I love it, but in today's age, let's face it, nobody wants to answer the door. Like when the doorbell rings, you're like, who invited somebody over? When I was a kid, when the doorbell rang, it was like a celebration. But you know, it's up to you individually with it. So,
But also to add to that, door knocking is the best ROI of any marketing channel. Like, hands down, you know that probably. It costs no money. Go door knock, it's the best one. The problem is, if you look at a long term, is it better to door knock 100 homes or using that time to put 300 to 400 sticky notes out? Because door knocking takes some time, right? But I personally found putting sticky notes out beats the door knocking. And I used to door knock pre-foreclosures, 1920. It wasn't as efficient as putting vanity signs out. It's just time intensive. Now, you're talking about hiring door knockers, that's a different story, right? See, that's leverage. That's a different story, right? Now, you personally doing it, is that, no, right? So I think that's part of the question. Not that, but it's all about leverage too. And so, it might be really helpful if like, you find it more efficient, but that's why I invented reverse rank for dogs, because I didn't hate door knocking, but it just wasn't efficient. And slapping the sticky note on was good as you're going to probably get.
And my thought was, on the commission side of it, was if it was just a cold lead, then like no contact really, no expectation of talking to anyone. But I was able to skip trace them, find them, contact them, sell it, and I'd give them 10% on that deal. If they brought me a warm lead with a name and number and an expectation of a call, I'd give them 20%.
Yeah.
They're not having to do any selling, any acquisitions, any conversations.
That's great, but you got to remember with commission-based employees, they don't get a deal in a month, they're usually out.
they quit, they just go.
As long as you can produce it, it's fine. That's always the issue with them.
Yeah.
Especially acquisition agents.
Oh my God.
But yeah, any other questions? All right.
Because this is obviously this is brand new to me with Clive, whatever. We'll start with this area for instance, because you guys have been doing this obviously for 20 plus years. How often does history repeat itself where you continue to see new clients, new wholesale customers over and over, or have you saturated the market so much that it's kind of a dead market for you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can kind of answer that. So as wholesalers, we have the unique thing. We're not like realtors. We rarely get repeat customers. You get them, but it's less than 10% of your business. So we constantly have to hunt for brand new people. And this thing kind of sucks about this business, because most businesses you build up, you get repeat business and you build up a brand, and it's great. A wholesaler, you always got to go out and hunt. Because usually when somebody has a problematic issue and you solve it, they move out of the area, they go somewhere else. So if I'm doing the local market, you're like one and done. You built up all this rapport, it's amazing, and that's the part that kind of sucks about the business. But for the most part, you always have to hunt. Every 30 days, there's a new life event. Everybody in this room in the last 30 days has something significantly changed in your life. It's just how it works, man. So every 30 days I go, hey, it's a new set. That's why the follow-ups are so valuable. Like it's all timing in this business. So whoever connects with them, and then when they make a decision, you're in front of them, that's it. So I would love, if I had repeat customers, I could sit behind a desk and do whatever I want. That's the part. So when you go through your hustle and your grind season, you get it up and going, you get some money, you can scale the business, and then you can have people help you out doing it. But here's the problem, guys. My grind was 7 years, and the whole point of doing this event is so you don't have to do a 7-year grind. I was stupid about it. I thought I knew everything, I did everything, and it burnt me out. And I want to get to the point, I think 2 years you can get through it. Some of you can get through it in 1. It's the truth, okay? Wholesaling, and a lot of people, while we're addressing it, everyone's like, well, I'm going to build this brand up and I'm going to sell my business. No, you're not. I've been doing this 21 years. You are the business. So the minute you leave it, there is no more business. You are it. Your intellectual property right here, you own it. The real value in wholesaling is the assets if you want to acquire them. That's where your significant is. So in the beginning, if you got to pay your rent, if you're behind on your credit card bill, do the assignments, generate the money. You're not going to get hurt taking a profit. I see too many young people trying to hold on to a property that's problematic cash flow, that's stressing them out. Just turn the dang thing over, get your money, and fight another day. Then when you find a really cool property, that one you can set aside. So if you find one, maybe you get creative terms or something like that, and you go, hey, it works, it's not going to stress me out, then you start building your future. Before you have it, you get 10 or 15 houses, boom. You don't even have to sell a business. Just here's the reality. If you do wholesaling right, you bring people in your business and you run it. Those that leave wholesaling, they never figured it out. They were the product. They never figured out how to get help. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm fortunate to have him work with me because I got to the point where I was getting complacent. I was making a lot of money, but like I wasn't pushing it because I got employee fatigue and I had to figure out how to work with employees. I have ADHD. It's brutal on employees. Either fired you right away or kept you too long. And trying to learn, and so that's been my journey. And he's helped me out phenomenally with it. You can't react when employees screw up massively. And so I want to let you know, this is a really cool business, but you got to go out and find new customers all the time. It doesn't matter if you're local, you're doing it virtually. Every now and then someone will have 3 or 4 properties, and that's just a blast. And anybody who's gotten referrals here, when they sell you like their other property, how easy is it? It's a piece of cake. But it's a rarity, right? It doesn't. If it happened every day, it would be so great. If we didn't have to spend money on marketing, it'd be great. Your biggest expense is always going to be marketing and wholesaling. There's no other way around it. So, any other questions? Yes. Yeah. I haven't tried it. I don't think. But like, there's always new cutting edge stuff. Here's the deal, guys. I try a lot of stuff. The reality is, less than 5% of it sticks. But I try, and that's what you got to understand. As a wholesaler, thinking outside the box, that's not a bad idea. You're gonna have to get around some corporate issues with Uber, like what they want in their car and stuff like that. But you have to spend energy and effort to do it. And then you gotta figure out, okay, what's gonna get traction or not. I've done some really stupid things. Like I get these crazy ideas. But if you do enough crazy ideas, eventually one of them sticks. And it's amazing. That ROS postcard was 18 years of frustration. I go, man, everybody was sending out the Google image. And customers used to tell my acquisitions people, would you stop flying the drone over my house? I'm like, you're stalking me. And so I go like, that's ridiculous. But if you have 10 ideas and you can get one to stick, that's what you do. Most successful people try a lot of stuff and they find what sticks. We're constantly innovating in this industry, but don't forget you have to do the core stuff of wholesaling. That's never gonna change. The creative marketing stuff, it's a great idea, try it out. But don't go broke in your experimental part, okay? It's basically what we call R&D, and you just test stuff out. The problem is when you guys get into like these like super micro trends, and you go all into it, and you spend 6 months to a year, and then it's over, and you're like, okay, I gotta start all over again. And that's what we've seen the last 5-6 years in wholesaling. People just gravitate towards these like data, people like just pump 100,000 pieces a day to get a huge staff in. Well, that data is expensive. It's a lot, and you got to keep feeding the machine, and you can't shut the machine down. It takes you 6 months to a year to shut it down. So remember, I teach about quality of life in wholesaling. If you want to go run like a 15, 20 person staff, you can do it, but it is a journey to get there. Most people have to start, I want to get my first deal, get my first 5 deals, get to 100 grand, and then I want to make a very, very comfortable living and do what I want. The problem with what you're talking about, you got to try it. All you can do is try it. And if you don't try it and you think about it, that becomes problematic. So just try it. I think it's a great idea. I've done everything from door hangers. I've done like some really crazy stuff. I did email marketing when we thought it was like really trendy. Nobody reads a dang email now. When texting came out, it was brilliant. Like when RVM came out, I told my guys it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. The problem is if it's too good, everybody takes it over and you got to start over. Some people built their entire business on RVMs. And they're like, well, what do I do now? If you did the core stuff we teach you, then you can add these little things and you can run with them. You can get a lot of traction with it. So try it. I think it's a great idea. If corporate's gonna fight you on like Uber and these Lyft drivers, I have no idea. Yeah, correct. I'm saying if you put up like you were talking about putting like a QR code in the car? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. They know my wife too. Yeah. I think it's perfect. They're just kind of bird dogs. Funny story is, I worked with a gentleman that was a postal delivery. Who delivers the bad notices? Do not attempt this with the United States Post Office, because the postmaster will personally visit you and tell you, like, I've pushed every boundary you can possibly do. So I want you to push the boundary, but when it comes to like government employees, don't even ask, because you're probably committing some sort of issue with them. So, but we used to do exactly what we did with the postman delivery, and wind up getting fired over it. So you got to be, just don't get them fired and go, hey, I want to take care of you. And my dad. That's it, just try it. I think it's great. Just stay away from government employees, because that's where you're going to get in trouble. You can't be messing in that. Yeah. So guys, one of the most often overlooked referral sources is contractors. Do you know how many contractors go out and write jobs and people are like, 60,000, are you crazy? And then that contractor walks away, he doesn't have work, he just wasted his time, they get ticked. If you can teach them how to tip you off on them and give them a referral fee, they're very happy. Now, don't make the mistake of saying, listen, if I buy the deal, then you can do the work, because then you can, I don't want to teach you how to rehab houses. I used to do that. Listen, I'll buy it, you can do the work, and like, hey, where's the work? No, I just sold the house, and then you ruin your relationship. Contractors have a 50% fail ratio when they write contracts on their bids. Guys, stuff's really expensive right now. What used to be 10 grand is 30, 40 grand. And people are like, I can't afford to fix it. And then that's when people make that decision to sell. That's where you got to hit them. So if you can reach out to contractors, it was one of my go-to property managers. I could do this all day long. Like, just think creatively. You can't have a box in wholesaling. You just got to go like everywhere and try everything. Bail bondsmen. I found that by accident. Tough crowd, but they own a lot of property because people put up collateral for the house. They don't want to own the house. They just want to get their bail bonds fee, the insurance policy, their payments. So does that answer the question? Try it. Just don't do government employees. Just a cash buyer. I buy houses for cash. Well, listen, I'm not sure. It depends on the amount of work and what we're going to do with it. We haven't made that decision until we actually buy it. But either way, we'll take care of you. And then you just come up with like a referral fee. Listen, if you ever want to know what somebody wants, ask. Stop guessing. So if I teach you that, stop guessing what your seller's price is and just use the go for no, sometimes I go, well, what do you want if I can take this on with you? And they're like, give me 1,000. Some of them will ask for 100,000. It's like crazy. Like, okay, well, easy now. But like, and then sometimes you got to break down. I go, well, listen, let me talk to her. If I can write a contract, I will sit down with you, and I won't move forward the contract unless you're satisfied. You have to take care of the people that take care of you. If you think you're going to take a deal from it and like cut someone out, you will be known so quickly in the town. In this town, we've got 5 or 6 people we will never ever do business with because they screw everybody. And you all have those people in your town. Just cut them out of your life. You can't build a business on people that want to like fraud you and scheme you, okay? That is a one and done. Get rid of them. Contractors, there's a lot of iffy stuff in there. But typically what happens is they overbid the project, 100,000. And then they'll go all the way down to 50,000, and it really upsets the homeowner, and that's when you get them to make that decision to sell the property. Remember, real estate's all about timing. Have you guys ever done a bid on your own house or something like that? You're like, go get a bid on a pool right now. It's like, what used to be a $20,000 item, like in Florida, is $75,000. That's a basic pool. Like, it's unbelievable. The costs have gone up enormously. So, who else? Any more questions? Yes. Okay, one disclaimer on that is just so you know. We are not licensed agents. We don't pay people commissions. You've got to get rid of the word commission out of your vocabulary. If you're licensed, knock yourself out, okay? But we have to be clear because a lot of wholesalers try to cross the line. I love all the marketing guys that like do with Bird Dog, I'll pay you a commission. You can't legally say that. It actually gets you in trouble. You can pay them a marketing fee. Replace the word commission with marketing. You can do a marketing agreement with anybody in this room, but if you promise a commission and you're not licensed, that commission has to legally go on a HUD. Any realtors in here can tell me the truth on this? You can't be crossing lines. There's very clear distinctions. It will get you in trouble. It will get people calling you, and you don't want to do it.
So I am licensed.
We'll have a conversation after this.
Okay.
I go into it. So I don't, listen, you can do both. Most people that get in this business, they had their real estate license. I'm fine with that. You can do both, transition. But please don't go out and get your real estate license because you think it's going to make you a better wholesaler. It will handicap you, in my opinion. And it's going to require you to pay a bunch of fees, and then you have to answer to somebody else. And then remember, if you ever get a complaint about you, which you will, wholesalers we get complained on because people don't like what we do. You have to sit in front of a board. And who's on the board? They're all realtors and brokers. You're not going to win. They go, I'm going to tell on you. I'm going to report you. I go, you got my mom's number because that's the only person I answer to. My wife too, but like, yeah. And so I'm okay. If you had a license, it's fine. But some people go, well, I'm going to get a license to do this or do that. I'm like, I don't agree with it. That's my opinion. It doesn't mean you can agree with it or not. I've done 21 years without it. He doesn't have a license. I like to have that clear distinction line. Now, if your trade is real estate and you get licensed, that's fine. You just have to disclose it to everybody what you do, okay? Some people love realtors, some people don't like them. So it can hurt you, and the downside is a lot of your marketing stuff, you have to announce you're a licensed real estate agent, okay? But that doesn't change who you are as a person. And honestly, if you want to benefit from it and help people out, some people do like that, but some people don't like it. And you gotta, the problem is you can't play both, and that's where I'm very clear. And you guys like all these disclosures and paperwork, be very clear. If you're the buyer, you're the buyer. If you're the realtor, be the realtor. It's hard to do both in one transaction. That's where you get people confused. Am I right? Correct. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So I don't get into like the legal part of it. I'm just saying, like, if your customer goes, are you a realtor or are you going to buy the property? That's where you got to be completely brutally honest if you have the license. Don't hide it because it's going to blow up on you. So, anybody else? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome.
All right. Any other questions? All right.
Another question.
Of course.
The word wholesale,
Yeah.
I don't know what it means.
Yeah. So there's wholesaling and flipping, right? And then there's rentals and real estate investing. So wholesaling is basically it's wholesaling, but it's flipping at the same time. So you know when you wholesale, you put the property under contract and you find a cash buyer. When you do that, you actually sell the property for a discount to the cash buyer. They're buying it for 70, 75, 80, 83, even 85% of what the thing's actually worth. So we calculate ARV minus repairs multiplied by an additional discount. ARV minus repairs is basically what the thing is actually the present value if you're into finance. That's what the present value is, and you get an additional discount for the buyer. Basically, when you sell it on the MLS, pretty much you're selling it for the present value, and then you take the commissions and stuff out. The problem is cash buyers, because they're buying cash, they want a discount. It's riskier. But if you put it on the MLS, you can pretty much get it for its present value. So what we like doing is properties that aren't bad. And that's something we can tell, like old houses built in the 70s or 80s, it's not updated, but it's livable. It'll pass an inspection, it's pretty much our criteria. We can make over $30,000 on it. We like to wholesale. So we'll actually just buy it with our own funds. We don't do hard money or anything like that, we just buy it with our own funds. Probably spend $2 or $3 grand painting it, maybe new flooring, 5 to 6, and we just throw it on the market.
You guys, like, so wholetailing is a little bit more of an advanced strategy. It does require funding. So I don't want you to start with it. So most people, how do you decide if you want to wholesale something? It's easy. Whenever if anybody's done rehab here, it's not the money is the hard part, it's the time that kills you. Especially now, what are interest rates doing? They're not going down, they'll probably tick up just a little bit more, so time kills you and people sit on the sideline. Our wholesale deal under normal market conditions, if I can at least double my assignment fee, and I can either get a partner or somebody to help me do it, it makes sense. Here's the rules. You gotta have rules when you do wholetailing. Otherwise, you wind up being what? A fix and flipper. Fix and flippers are 6 to 12 months on average. That's what it takes. 3 to 6 months to do the rehab, and then really 90 days to market the property under normal conditions. On a wholesale, you have a 90-day rule. Not 91, not 93, it's 90. You have to move because you plan on 3 months of financing plus closing costs. Once you go past 90 days, you're gonna go to 180 days, and then you're gonna have 1 year, and you're gonna go like, how did I wind up here? You ever met someone struggling to sell a property they rehab? It's torture. I've been that guy. It is the worst feeling because you are controlled by the market now. You are no longer in control as a wholesaler. And I want you to understand, 90 days, he knows it. On the 91st day, I will pick up the phone and start ripping through the cash buyers list. And if I take a loss, I'll move on. Sometimes you swing the bat and you smoke it, and sometimes you whiff, okay? So here's what you do is, you wanna have, typically on a wholesale, less than 10 grand in rehab, because anything more than 10 grand is gonna cost you an extra 30 days. Every $10,000 on average, because we don't work with contractors a lot, we're not experienced. Pressure cleaner and a paintbrush is your best friend, okay? What's that? Landscaper, maybe appliances and maybe some carpeting, but once you started getting the vinyl floor, it takes time. You gotta order it, you gotta get the installer, measure it. and time will eat you up. And before you know it, 3 months goes by. Anybody do rehab here? 3 months is like a blink in your eye. You want to get it out ideally and get the repairs done in less than 2 weeks. Can you get it done in 2 weeks? You guys ever work with contractors? If you don't work with them on a daily basis, they will take your deposit, take the job. They'll work for 2 or 3 days, and then they start jumping job site to job site, and you got to pester them. I don't work with contractors full time. I don't like it. Florida's really challenging. So, Wholetail, 90 days or less, double your amount of money, and it's got to be a sweet property. Like, it's a nice 322 CBS home, stuff like that. If it's ugly, get rid of it. If it needs a ton of rehab, get rid of it. Okay? We're in the game of finding the deal, and the money's in the deal. All the other stuff, I get bored after I put stuff under contract. I want to go find something else. I start working on it, he's like, just get out of it, Dad. I'll deal with it. We'll do stuff like that. 90 days, and it goes by fast, because by the time you put it on MLS and get a contract, what's the average time? Even for an aggressive buyer, even for an aggressive seller, 30 to 45 days. So then we're gonna add 2 weeks on that rehab, and then if one contract falls out, which they will, that's the challenge. 90 days, I've learned the hard way, on 91st day, it sells for whatever the price is that day, and then you can't get in trouble. You guys hold properties 6 and 12 months, it's gonna take you out of wholesaling, and I wanna keep you here because you can make more money by doing this, learning how to do the marketing and talking to sellers. Okay, did I miss anybody?
Well, I want to add something on that.
Go ahead.
But the point of wholetailing is if your wholesale deal is going to be 25, theoretically how it should work, you're selling at a discount. If you put the money into it, like, say 3 or 4 grand, and you put it on the MLS to sell for more, you should probably make at least 25% more net after everything. That's the point. $25,000 signing fee should be about 35. Heck, it can be up to 40 if you have a good buyer. Just because it's on the if it can pass the conventional loan. If it sells for cash on the MLS, it's probably gonna be lower.
Yeah.
It's a wash. So we found out with our wholetails, we don't like selling them for cash. We like to really just do a conventional loan because they always pay more.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point.
It's easier to buy with the bank's money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then avoid FHA, because you can't do anything for 90, you gotta wait till the 91st day. People like, write a contract.
It's the 2 appraisals that kill
Yeah,
me.
and then write a contract and replace it. You start getting into like fraudulent territory. You start like manipulating stuff. So the problem is if you wait 90 days and do the rehab, you're a fix and flipper. It's not a wholetail. The idea is to get it done. And to me, 90 days feels like forever. Like I'm a guy who wants to get it out 2 weeks. But the reason I put the 90 days in, because I've learned the hard way. Because you'll wind up, I've owned properties for years. I thought I was going to wholetail, and I'm like, oh, do a little bit of this, or put that little trim work on there. And then you guys fall in love with the property, and you treat it like it's your own, and before you know it, you're out of wholesaling. Listen, you guys watch the fix and flip shows. It's mostly design elements. Like, I enjoy watching when someone rehabs. It's cool, but you don't see the amount of work that goes into these things. It's a lot of work. And you take an old 70s house and modernize it, it's expensive, and it's time consuming. And you got to do it over and over, do 10, 12, 15 projects to be good at it. If you do one, you're not going to have the skill set, you're going to be taken advantage of, and it's going to cost you a ton of money. So don't mix up design and wholesaling, because they're two. I'm the worst designer you'll ever meet in your life, dude. I just paint everything tan and move on with my life. I'm colorblind. I've had entire houses painted, people like, who decided on the paint color? I'm like, so I don't make any, I'm colorblind, I'm a guy, I have no idea. Like, I'd paint everything white and tan.
It's nice for me to get a gauge, like how many have you guys done proportionate to how many wholesaling deals? How many were
Wholetail?
wholesale deals? And then if you're putting it on the MLS, do you get a realtor for that?
Yes. So, once again, I can only tell you because my wife's a broker and I understand it. Somebody was out there teaching people to put your contracts on the MLS with a broker. It's a really bad idea. You don't own the dang property, and you can convince a realtor to do anything, but you're going to create, if you want to burn your relationship with that realtor, because the brokers, when there's an issue, the broker's the one that gets hammered. And the broker's like, why do you have this? You don't own it. Most MLS have rules about, very clear. Some of the MLSs are a little bit gray across the country, and it is a tough conversation to explain to people and do an assignment, a contract on it. So on average, we do about 10%. Like I pick the winners. I don't waste time because I know I'm gonna make money. So the idea is if I put $3,000 into a property and I can make an extra 25 grand, that is a great return on my ROI. Here's the difference, as long as you're not doing the work. I know a lot of people, I can do the work. Clive says he can do the work on everything. I don't doubt him, But did you really get into wholesaling to do all the work? What you guys do is you get busy. You go, I can fix that. Dude, I was the guy who tried to fix up I was the worst repairman in the world. I'm a handyman at best. Having finished work is a whole different skill set. You know exactly what I mean. So don't be that guy that tries to fix everything, because when you get to my age, it's not fun to rehab house. You got to pull the cockroaches out, all the ugly stuff. So about 10% is what we do. And then you put it with a realtor and you just cut a deal and you want the realtor to help you out. But don't be the highest priced guy on the market and expect to turn it in 90 days. Be the most tempting guy or gal on the market. Like, hey, they really want to sell it. Sometimes you got to give closing costs right now. Right now, one of the biggest trends is you have to buy down the commission rate on people's mortgage. That costs you $3 to $5 grand. It's a competitive market. Right now it's challenging to put stuff on the MLS because it's at 7-8%. On the average home, $400,000 or $500,000, it is a big one. On a $500,000 home, on an 7.5%, 8% mortgage, your new buyer has to make $125,000 and have a very good DTI ratio, debt to income ratio. That to me is like mind-boggling. So we were selling a house with people making 50, 60 grand, no problem. Now you have to make 6 figures just to buy the average house in Florida, much less the rest of the United States. And that's somewhat of the challenge. So that's why I love wholesaling right now, because everyone's uncertain. Anybody have houses on the market right now? I mean, what's your biggest challenge on selling them? Yeah, you have to price it right. And then when people go get it financing, you're like, it's like at the car dealership. Go over see the financing guy, you're like, God, the salesman's like, he ain't coming back. Have you guys gone out and priced cars to get financing? It's staggering, the numbers. It's like, not everybody has the ability to pay cash for a car. And suddenly you got the average car loan $700-800 a month when it used to be $200 or $300. So people are getting a little bit, so a lot of realtors, they'll get people like, I like this house. They think they're getting a 4 or 5% mortgage and they get the sticker shock. Putting on 3 to 5%, you are hitting that higher tier in interest rates. And they go, oh my God, I got to pay $2,500 a month. I can't afford that. And you do it all over again. And that's the frustrating part with realtors, is when you got the right buyer, you priced it right, and then it doesn't work out. And then so that's what happens when you put on MLS. Every time you get a new buyer, you have a 30-day reset window. So on average, you will probably go through 2 buyers when you put stuff on MLS. And realtors, like, they think 45 days, and you're not the average realtor, they think 45 days is expedient. It's like, it feels like this, you ever watch the second thing clicking, like at the wholesale, I'm like, 45 days for what? It drives me nuts, but that's why you need 90 days. 2 weeks of rehab, 90 days, 91st day, you gotta make a hard decision, because 90 days turns into 180 days. So just pick the winners, man. Like, oh man, if you go, man, I could see myself possibly living in the house, that's probably a good indication. When you look at it and go, that's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Sometimes you just can't. Ugly's expensive to fix. More importantly, it takes a lot of time. So I did fix and flip for like a year and a half. I hated every minute of it because it was a full-time job. And then you have to learn the skill set. Then you have to learn how to work with contractors. And that, if you guys ever work with contractors, it is a skill set. So anything else before he gets? Yes. They look at everything. You're open to everything. So you got to be smart. Okay. If you got the old type, like in Florida, we have the old like jealousy windows, stuff like that. It's never going to fly. If you don't have central AC, it's probably not going to fly. You got to have a house that go, hey, listen, I would be semi-okay living here. You got to even at least get to that statement, because to update these old houses is really expensive. And what you guys think's cheap, the average update's $20,000-$25,000, just the basics now.
Well, we don't have a termite inspector. We have a handyman. He's really 95% accuracy. He can tell if it's termite or not. So it'd be stupid to bring like a legit termite guy every single property we buy. He's about 95% effective. And for every termite deal that I've seen, he's always gotten, and he's always seen. So,
yeah. So we know the cost to do the termite, but once they see termite damage, your buyer's done. Like, they just walk away. So you got to mitigate these problems. So the good thing is we see the problems. If you guys walk through these old wooden houses and you see piles of wood, it's going to be an issue. Decide. Here's the problem. Once you open up on a wall, it's your problem now. So some houses just need to be wholesaled, and that's fine. People buying at a discount, they understand they're taking on a problem. Termites in Florida, they're a pain in the butt. I had one literally just eat an entire roof. I've never had it before. They ate the trusses. They fed up and ate the trusses. Like this right here is what they all ate. They go, your roof's gonna cave in. I'm like, I didn't know they could get that high. They are just annoying little buggers, man. They eat everything. I've watched the walls completely fall down. I had an entire house fall down and go from there, so. Anything else? No, I just, listen, there's cute schemes all in this business, but like you're inviting trouble when you start doing that. I've seen everything, okay? I love to go to auctions and take cash buyers. That's what I do. It's the greatest greatest place you can do it. So, okay, let's get started. You guys know I'll answer questions all day.
All right, so